Yeah. I know they want a lot of candidates to be there, but I'm just.
Sure, sometimes it's a good chance to press the flesh. You should do the ad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like to go and I was gonna, say stuff, but honor graduates tonight, so we're gonna be in Minneapolis, so.
Or 11. Sometimes you do, just nice.
Oh, wow.
Church is gonna start.
Yeah.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. We'll call the board of the Codington County Commissioners to order for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. We'll begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Commissioner Johnson to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the city of the flag and to the states of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Please silence your cell phones so they do not interrupt the meeting this morning, and then don't forget to turn them back on later. Call for public comments. Public comment may be submitted in person or by calling on the telephone 605-882-6248 or 605-882-6297. Moving on to item number 3. This is conflict of interest items. Commissioners, do you have any?
No.
Seeing none, we'll move on to number 4, action to approve the March 24th agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gable, second by McElhaney. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 5 is action to approve the March 17th minutes.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Schwer. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 6, go ahead and come on up. This is action to approve a request to sell alcohol at a wedding event you can just have a seat at the Extension Center. This is for the Copland and Bach wedding. So go ahead and have a seat. And there's a little button on that microphone there. If you could just push that white button and then talk into the microphone, that would be great. So can you introduce yourself and tell us?
Carla Copland,
Hey, Carla, what's the event?
for a wedding for the Copland Bach wedding on July 18th at the Extension Building. And the approval to have Cloud9 have their liquor license used that night.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Motion by Johnson. We have a second by who? McElhaney. All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Yes.
It's pretty simple, right? Pretty painless. They scared you before the meeting. Didn't even take 30 minutes, so that's good. Thank you. Good luck. Good luck.
Got a couple months to think about it. Laura.
Yeah. Don't let him scare you. You're making the right decision. All right. Number 7 is a legislative update by District 5 Senator Glenn Vilhauer. I'll get Senator Vilhauer up here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We are cruising through the agenda, so I'm not going to promise I'll be as quick as the first few items were, but I'll try my best.
You're on the.
Are we on? Okay.
Now you're on the clock.
Now I'm on the clock. Well, first of all, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes. As you know, we've wrapped up with one day to go yet next Monday, the legislative session. And I jokingly tell people, well, we probably did enough damage for 1 year, so let's get out of there. I just want to touch base on a few things, but there were literally dozens, if not 100 bills or more that dealt with either property taxes, voter registration, elections. I tried to keep in touch with Brenda on some of the key voter registration and the election stuff. I think for the most part, it turned out okay. I don't think there's a whole lot of damage done. What's frustrating is you get this pervasive feeling, or the feeling that election fraud and integrity is so pervasive in the state. And it's not here in South Dakota. There are areas, yeah, maybe got problems, but to try to, throw the baby out the bathwater, there are solutions looking for problems in a lot of regards. And, one that really, caught my attention is requiring hand counting of ballots. And that got defeated, but we've got a Secretary of State candidate that's running. That's one of her arguments is hand counting of ballots. So this is probably not going to be a dead issue. So keep in tune on that. What I do want to zero in on for just a few minutes, if I could have a little bit of your attention, a couple, three of the bills that I think probably you're probably already aware of, but I just want to bring to your attention because we spend a lot of time out in here talking about them. First one I want to touch on just briefly is Senate Bill 240, Rural Access Infrastructure Funding. There was $5 million allocated. That replaced a program that was in place a few years ago, where the funding ran out, but there was $5 million designated now for counties and townships to take inventory and divide the dollars up as best can be across the state to address bridges across the state. So I don't know the mechanics of how that will all be implemented, but that is something that we can probably take advantage of, a little bit of funding available to the counties and the townships. So that was something that glad to see came to be after the funding ran out last year. We tried to get some dollars allocated to it, didn't happen. So we got something allocated this time around. Next, and I'll just touch on.
Glenn, if I could interrupt.
Sure.
That has been a very, very good program. Although the devil's in the details, it was really hard to sort out, how to get this thing implemented. But we have used that in Codington County and our local townships here extensively, a lot. And I think we were recognized as one of the townships and one of the counties that did actually use that program more than others. And I have townships that have just talked to me and said they really appreciate the help that we've been able to give them. So thank you for whatever part you played to get that thing
Have their
reinstated.
hand in that other than voting for it and supporting it, but
Well, that's what you gotta do.
good here.
Senator, what was the amount on that?
$5 million. And initially it was going to be divvied out over a period of years. And that's where we kind of dug our heels in on that. And one of the dollars be made available immediately. So it actually was there was an emergency clause added to that bill, which makes those dollars available now. Again, it's subject to however it's administered now, but it's $5 million.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So, it's just the money was allocated. Were there any changes to the way to the eligibility of the township?
I think they refer back to when that first came into being back in 2021. I think they reference back to the eligibility and the criteria that they still fall back on the original plan that was in place a few years ago.
Okay.
Well, we finally kind of got it figured out. So
It's a good, like Myron says, it's a really good program. It's important to keep it funded. Really does help our townships. And then the one thing is there was some debate about it requires an opt-out or on the part of the townships as opposed to, let's say a percentage stake in, a matching amount. So and sometimes, some townships have that, some don't. And so that was kind of I think Brenda might know a bit more about this than I do, but
they can also do a road levy, which has to be done at their annual meeting, which is a much simpler process than going through the opt-out. So they do have a couple options, but yes, they need to have those in place in order to be eligible.
So you folks know more about the program, the implementation itself than I do, but I was glad to see that we were able to get some funding restored for that.
Definitely.
Next one I want to touch on just briefly that you've all heard about and aware of, Senate Bill 96. That was the governor's plan a year ago already concerning property tax relief. And that one did get through this year. That's where the counties have the option of implementing up to an extra 0.5% sales tax designated for property tax relief. What's interesting is I asked the Bureau of Finance Management people, what does that mean? And I got a county by county breakdown. And Codington County was up to 22% reduction in owner occupied taxes from if this were fully implemented. So it's something that I'm sure you're going to talk about or have in the back of your mind. On the flip side, because we're going to benefit from our neighboring towns and people around here that are going to come to Watertown and shop. You go to other counties more rural that they're not crazy about it. But by the same token, every county, from what I saw from the analysis by the BFM, is that every county would benefit to some extent on this. Now, what I will say is that I was on the property tax task force last summer, that met a number of times across the state. All through that, I heard very little from people around here. And you look at, yes, there were a few comments I heard from some lake people, for example, but Brookings, Watertown, Aberdeen, I heard very little from people that were really in an uproar over their property tax bill. You know, maybe you folks are because you're closer to it than I was, but being part of that committee and being legislative, I just never heard much. You get to Minneapolis or Minnehaha, Lincoln, out west, Pennington, some of those counties out there, even Pierre area, heard a lot more comments, but I just did not hear much from around here. So I guess you'll have to use that as a gauge as far as, you know, is this something that you're going to want to jump on and make available, or you know, just let well enough alone and not do it. But the option is out there. It did pass. The governor obviously was proposing that quite strongly as part of his property tax relief package. But anyway, that was a big bill that that got a lot of publicity throughout the session and ultimately did pass.
Can I ask a question? Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that takes effect in July 1st, like most legislation.
Correct.
And so, just to give you an idea, and like you said, it kind of fits with my research. A few times the county association tried to go to the legislature to ask for a voter approved half-cent sales tax for jails and
Right,
infrastructure that, you know, counties are required by law to build. When you run the numbers, that would reduce, say, a property tax bond, which would be 20 years down to, you know, 7, 10 years, something pretty, you know, sales tax is a little less predictable. But, you know, if that was dedicated to that particular debt, you know, that bond, it would pay it up very quickly and save all that interest rate. So yeah, I mean, you know, that's something we do need to think about. So.
Yeah. Just so you know,
The revenue from this has to go directly into tax.
Right.
Real
That's
estate
right.
reduction.
it
So
would
it's
be
got a dedicated-
it would be administered by the Department of Revenue, but then it would, you know, get divvied back to the county as far as reduction of people owner occupied. Well, what I was going to say is that to your point, Lee, when this was debated on the floor, I actually used that as an example of where it's something that would have definitely helped us out in building our jail facility a number of years ago. So anyway, the ball's in your court on this as far as if you want to propose it and move it forward, or the public can refer it to a vote too if they think it's worthwhile. So it can work both ways on this. And so anyway, that is an option out there now that you did not have in the past.
Just to clarify for people that might be watching this on YouTube later on, just so whatever money is generated by that sales tax, it just basically chop it off the owner occupied tax.
That's correct.
So the idea is to lower
Yeah.
owner occupied property
Yeah.
tax.
Yep. The third bill then that kind of goes hand in hand with that one is Senate Bill 245. That's the one where, as you're aware, and if I should have brought you copies of some of these things. They're out there on the LRC website if you want to find the actual bill and dig into it further. But Senate Bill 245 is the one where when the sales tax at 4.2% sunsets next June 30th in 2027 and goes back to 4.5%. That extra 0.3% would now be designated for property tax relief. It's about 100 right now under current dollars. About $110 million is what that extra 0.3% would generate. That would then go into a special fund, again, administered by the Department of Revenue for property tax relief. And then that gets divvied up then back. It's on a pro rata basis based upon, I'm not totally sure myself. There's something like 240 or 50,000 owner occupied parcels in the state. And it would get divvied up then pro rata based upon the number of parcels within your area or within your county. And then from there, those that are higher valued or higher assessed properties would see more of a benefit from this than a lower valued piece of property. That was one of the reasons I voted against this when it came to a Senate vote. I had a number of reasons that I was opposed to it. That was one of them. One is, as an appropriator, I was concerned about walking away from $110 million of dollars that could be used for other general fund purposes. I was a little bit concerned about turning the administration of this fund over to, again, the Department of Revenue to administer. For a number of reasons, I did vote against this. And also as part of this, to kickstart the program, there was just under $56 million transferred from the general reserves into this property tax replacement fund to kickstart the program. So there'd be dollars already this next year to generate or to get back to the homeowners. I was concerned about taking those reserves out of general reserves and designating for something else, but it did pass. I see the pluses of it as well. I think altogether between Senate Bill 96 and Senate Bill 245, you're probably looking at somewhere across the board in the state, probably about a 40% reduction in owner occupied property taxes. So in talking to some of the governor's people, they said, well, if we pass these two bills, we won't have to be dealing with property tax issues again for a long time in the state. Well, I guess proof will be in the pudding, I guess, when next time we get together and see where that goes. But those are kind of the ones that I wanted to bring to your attention. Overall, like I say, it was a challenging, session. Not that I wasn't expecting that. Glad that a lot of the stuff that could have been bad for Codington County had it passed. Glad to see a lot of that died along the way and didn't become law. So with that, I'll cut my presentation to an end. And any questions that you might have yet, or by all means, reach out to me. You've got my contact info.
Yeah, our director of equalization mentioned a bill about, and I guess I lost track of it, was to control valuations and the rise like to 5% a year, then the fifth year go to market.
That one did not make it.
Okay.
I think what you're referring to, I can't remember the bill number. Oh, shoot. Anyway, what that would have done is that would have frozen valuations. It was initially drafted for a period of 10 years, I think, and then it was amended down to 5 years. But again, the thought was that, boy, after that fifth year, you're going to see a huge escalation, and people aren't going to be ready for that. So that was the main argument, and that bill did die along the way.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment. I've known Glenn for a long time. I've had the opportunity to work with him on the retirement board. And I know he's not here campaigning, but he is running for his office again. And I followed the legislation session very closely, and I have to hats off to Glenn. Glenn has been a very, very good supporter of our community and has just done a yeoman's job out there. And for those of you that don't know what a yeoman's job is, it's a very good job. And
Well,
we appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, for that comment. You're right. I'm not here campaigning. I'm here purely reporting what happened. I did the same thing a year ago, I believe, and I did the same thing with the school and the city and as well. But I do appreciate the
And
comment.
we appreciate your columns in the paper too. And appreciate the paper for putting them in there. So,
We appreciate everybody.
yeah. Now, if I had a little longer arm, I could pat myself on the back too.
Well, thank you for your time.
We'll,
Yes, thanks for
thank
the
you.
time.
Thank you, Senator.
Good luck.
All right. We always appreciate those updates from Pierre. Let's go on to the monthly reports and we'll move on to Andrew. Emergency management. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Andrew.
Morning. Yeah, I suppose, start off with, we had a fire chiefs meeting, again, and, Commissioner Van Dusen was able to attend that. I mean, our initial, plan, I guess, for mutual aid wasn't as feasible as we initially thought. So we do have a new way forward with that, starting to work that. I mean, we went to several local radio stations to discuss Code Red, and we've made a really good progress with signups there. So that's been a win. I did an ICS overview. So the National Guard reached out to me. They have I mean, from time to time, people who will be like, hey, we have a mission to support local authorities in disasters, and they just want a little refresher on how they're integrated into our EOCs. And so I did an ICS overview for them, and then the following day we hosted a roundtable at the EOC, and just kind of further discussed and elaborated how they would be integrated into our local response efforts if the need arises. We held an LEPC meeting. I went to the township meeting to discuss crisis track, got a couple more permissions set up. Again, we have training more geared towards townships tonight at 6:30 at the Codington County Extension Center. And then city, county, and municipal utilities, we have training planned at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
How
And
long does
that's-
that last?
They said that those classes have typically lasted about 2 to 3 hours. Some of it depends on, the number of questions and how quickly
Sure.
people,
Okay.
grasp the concepts. So they just want to make sure that people are familiar with the process moving forward and how to use the app.
Or will be tomorrow at the extension center again.
Yep. And if I remember right, that's in the kitchen. So. The National Weather Service released the first spring hydrologic outlook. So for expected flooding, no real surprises there. I mean, there's lower chance than the normal for flooding this spring. So that's good news, especially after last summer. We had, I mean, what was predicted to be Snowmageddon, like during the girls' state basketball tournament. Fortunately, it wasn't as bad as initially predicted, but I mean, like our office, worked, behind the scenes to, coordinate for, shelter trailers. We got authorization to use both Red Cross and the state shelter trailer. We had them pre-positioned at the high school since we had an event going on at the extension center. So coordinating with them and getting them staged. So I wasn't trying to drag them out through, 10 inches of snow and who knows how big it drifts. I mean, just, coordinated with local partners, search and rescue staged the snowcat at the fire department and, just behind the scenes type stuff. We took notes, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel next time that comes around. I applied for the Homeland Security grant and Sherry applied for the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant for next year. And then I just wanted to throw out there again that Weather Spotter training is scheduled for April 8th, and that's open to the public. There's 2 sessions, one at 1 p.m., the other at 6 p.m., and both are at the Extension Center. Those classes last about 2 hours. So if you want to learn about, cloud formations and which ones to be concerned about, or if you're generally interested in the weather or want to be a weather spotter, feel free to come to those classes. I guess pending questions, that's all I have for you.
Questions? All right. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Andrew, you're going to be at the meeting tomorrow at noon, the 911 meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 9. This is action to authorize the Lutheran Church of Our Redeemer to conduct Sunday worship services at Memorial Park. Get Steve up here. Good morning, Steve. It's a pretty common request. I think we do this every year.
Yep.
Get repositioned all year.
Yeah.
Yes, this is every year event and so that they always request to have services on Sunday. So we have starting Memorial Day through Labor Day. Yeah, I'd received this about a week or so ago, so I said I'd present this to the commissioners.
So to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Schwer. Any discussion?
What's the date of it?
Memorial weekend starting and then through September 1st.
It's every
Yep,
Sunday morning.
every Sunday morning.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to item number 10. Since you're up here, this is action to approve a contract with South Dakota Department of Transportation for 2026 weed spraying.
Yes, this is pretty well an annual, thing, contract that usually comes up and so that for Codington County. There are some counties in the state that, they actually subcontract out. Those were bids where people, the counties didn't want to turn around and do it, or, in the past, there was a minimal or a maximum amount for bid and they overbid stuff. So, we pretty well stay underneath those limits of the bid. And my request this year for the proposal is $32,395.
Move to approve.
Motion by Johnson, second by McElhaney. Discussion.
I actually took time and reviewed the contract and nothing really have changed other than prices. That's it.
Yeah, price is pretty well. Yep. A few years back, and so they did add, so I had to have in the minutes because they weren't getting minutes, and now I have to present the minutes along with the contract to them, knowing that it was approved.
And that's all right.
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, discussion, possible action to authorize the chair to sign a contract with some monkeys to assist,
Morning, Sarah.
no, with production monkeys, sorry.
Okay.
To assist with the community awareness campaign utilizing South Dakota opioid settlement funding grant, and that is in your packet. But Sarah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. This is just what it says. This is a grant we received from South Dakota opioid funds. Our community awareness group has chosen Production Monkeys as the production company they want to work with. And so I'm just asking for county approval to utilize the funds through that way.
Move to approve.
Motion by Johnson, second by Gable. Discussion.
So what's the amount again? Can you?
$40,000 for the total grant is 50,000. So
Okay.
there's another.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Item number 12 is action to declare office surplus equipment to be destroyed in the extension office. Brenda.
Yes, and you have that in your packet. So they would like to remove the Kensington keyboard from their inventory list and to be destroyed.
Second.
Motion by Gable, second by McElhaney. Discussion. What is that? Kensington keyboard?
It's
What is
a
that?
keyboard, I think, to,
Letters are worn off, says right there.
the letters are worn
Yeah.
off, so.
Just a key,
It's a
like a
keyboard.
computer keyboard.
Mhm, correct.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13 is action to approve a resolution to combine voting precincts for the 2026 June primary election, and you should have that in your packet as well.
Yes, this is typical for the primary where we do combine our precincts. It's a cost savings and I will just monitor, we don't know yet what our ballots will look like. If they look like they're going to be a little heavier, I can add more individuals to those tables, but it's just a precaution to try to help be careful with our funds. So
Primary election will be held on June 2nd.
Motion approved.
Motion by Johnson, second by McElhaney. Discussion.
Will these be the same as they were last year?
they are the same as they have been for previous years, yes. And then the general will go back to the full again. So this is just for the primary.
Anything else? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Note that the board will meet as a county board of equalization at 1 PM on April 14th at the courthouse. So please make sure to note that in your planners so that you don't forget. April 14th, 1 PM here at the courthouse. And then item number 15, the board will also meet as a consolidated board of equalization at 6:30 that same night in the chambers of the Watertown City Council, the Watertown City Hall. Item number 16 is note Easter office closures.
Yes, so by policy, we follow what the governor does. They send out an email as administrative leave days for Good Friday, April 3rd, and Easter Monday, April 6th. All county offices and the courthouse will be closed.
Number 17, the board will not meet on March 31st due to a previously adopted policy, which states at 5 Tuesdays in the month. We will not meet on that 5th Tuesday, so that would be the 31st. We will not be meeting that Tuesday, which is next week already. Item number 18 is action to approve abatement applications.
None today.
Claims for payment, number
We do,
19.
yes. Have a couple of those. I put those in your packet. You have the full list. Last week you did approve the SDPAA insurance amount, but this shows all the breakdowns now, like Commissioner Gable asked, if all the different departments get charged or for those amounts, which they do. But so there's two that we are approving. One is to the Board of Mental Illness in the amount, so it's Lewis and Clark Behavioral Health and in Minnehaha County Auditor. So the total amount there is $1,293.77. And then to Steve's World for that plow for Lynn's pickup, that amount was $12,170.83. So the total amount then for the claims is $13,464.60.
Move to approve.
Motion by McElhaney, second by Gable. Discussion or comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 20 is automatic budget
We
supplements.
have one more, jails.
Oh, sorry.
I just like to
Okay.
keep them separate.
Yep, let's go ahead and do that one then.
Yep. So you have that information in your packet as well to the different companies that will be paying out. This is draw book number 8 for the new jail construction minus the Watertown Municipal Utility, because we did go ahead and pay that with our normal utility bills. So that amount is $1,617,794.49.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by McElhaney, second by Gable. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we're ready for number 20. Action to approve automatic budget supplements.
Nothing for 20 or 21.
21, nothing. 22 is action to approve travel requests. We do have some of those.
Yes, so community service office to attend some trainings, couple different opportunities for them, director of equalization, the same as to attend meeting. And then we have the veterans service office staff will be attending training as well, like a conference.
We'll just take these all in one motion unless anybody has an issue with that, but they're all
Motion to
budgeted
approve.
items. Motion by McElhaney, second by Gable. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 23 is public notice for a possible quorum of commissioners could be in attendance at. There's the Sioux Valley Commissioners meeting scheduled for Wednesday, April 9th. That's going to be at noon in DeSmet. And
There's Veterans meeting this evening, isn't there? Is that this evening at the Readiness Center?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
okay, veterans meeting.
Yeah, so Veterans.
Okay. Anything else?
How about tomorrow at that meeting at the Extension Center with that, I think I'll probably attend, and I know if Randy said he was gonna attend. I don't know if anybody else would show up, but.
Crisis.
Well,
Track. Yep. Okay. We do have a 911 board meeting tomorrow at noon as well at the PD. Yep. So that'll take place tomorrow. Could have a commissioner there.
I just got a question. This says April 9th. That's a Thursday. Is it the 8th or is it the 9th?
It's a Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday, so that should be the
The 8th?
should be the 8th.
Okay, I'll correct.
Yeah, Wednesday, April 8th. Yeah, that's all right. That's
It's like,
typo.
gonna punch it in. It's like, well, that'd be the wrong date.
That's why you get paid the big bucks to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for public notices? Quorum? All right. If not, anything for old business? Old business.
Mr. Chair, just to give a update on the jail, so Commissioner Schwer and I and folks from Tegra went out to take a look at the precast plant that for the last set of panels. It was pretty interesting to see how that's at a factory south of Willow Lake, north of Iroquois. And so just to see the technology that goes into that, I mean, it's pretty impressive. So I have pictures if anybody wants to see them. I won't go over them right now. But and then as far as the progress of the jail, mostly what's going on right now, if people drive by, you probably can't see a lot because the front facade is up, but it's mostly the steel being, various pieces of steel, both columns and horizontal pieces being erected within the wall. So that's what's seems to be moving along, so.
Good. Still on track. That's great. Anything else? Anyone? Okay. Anything for new business? Number 25, new business. All right, let's move on to number 26. This is the open. Anything for public comments? Come on up, sir. Please go ahead and have a seat and identify yourself and who you're with. Good morning.
Good morning. This is one on?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
good.
on.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Cole. I'm running for the District 4 House of Representatives, and I just wanted to kind of meet you guys and kind of give you a real quick background of who I am and why I'm running. So born and raised in South Dakota, grew up on a farm and ranch over by Revillo, South Dakota. Once I graduated from once I graduated from Grand Dual, I went to SDSU. While there, I joined the National Guard because college is expensive. Once I graduated from college, I actually took my commission in the United States Air Force. And then for the next 9 years, I went all around the world. I went to some great places, and I went to some places I never ever want to go back to. And then I moved back here to farm and ranch with my dad again. I actually went back to SDSU part-time to get my teaching certification. And then I taught at Grant Dual for 2 years. I did such an amazing job that after 2 years, they shut down the school. And then I refocused back on farming and ranching. So I married my wife, Kim. I met her in the Air Force. About 5 years ago, we relocated to Millbank because we outgrew our little house in Revillo. We currently have 3 kids, 7, 6. My son's birthday is today. 7, 6, and 3. They're all potty trained, so that I'm ready for another challenge. 2 years ago, I retired from the reserves, and I'd like to serve again. So I want to serve in a different capacity this time. And as running for District 4, my 3 main priorities are going to be number 1 as a farmer and rancher, supporting farming and ranching, and keeping farming and ranching strong. Second, as a former educator, I want to support education, especially our teachers. Our teachers have a very difficult job, and we need to take care of them. And the third thing is I just want to stay laser focused on small and rural communities. That's who District 4 is. And as part of that, I mean, District 5 is the heart basically of District 4. So helping to support District 5 would also be important in supporting District 4 because there's things that District 4 just can't produce. I mean, you guys have the ethanol plant, you have lake area, and these are all things that are integral, and we're connected. So District 4 and District 5 are heavily connected and interdependent on each other, I would say. So that's kind of the gist of it. If you guys have any questions, comments, I've got these little palm cards. I know you all want extra paperwork, although I think only one of you is in my district, but that's okay.
I'm in your district.
Oh, you are? Good,
Yeah.
good, okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Cole, thank you very much for your time and coming in today, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
All right, let's move on to letter B, that's commission comments. Commissioners, any comments that you have this week?
I did say last week that I do have a South Dakota retirement meeting April 1st. So,
April Fool's Day.
yeah, April Fool's Day.
All right. Any other comments? If not, we'll look for a motion to adjourn and go into executive session.
So move.
Not adjourn, but go into executive session. We do have a need to go into executive session for the purpose of contracts. I messed that up. So let me start over. Okay, do we have a need to go into executive session?
Yeah.
We do, for the purpose of contracts. So we will look for a motion to go into executive session this time.
So move.
Moved by Schwer, second by McElhaney. Any discussion on that? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are now into executive session, and I do not think we'll have any action follow, so. That was kind of an awkward closing to the meeting today.